Welcome back. Before the break, insanely lucky me for interviewing Cannes Palme d'Or winner Ruben Östlund for his Triangle of Sadness, which is clever, stupid fun. Hardest I've laughed in probably a year, and still in theaters. Don't miss it. It's going to pick up an Oscar for foreign or something like that. Non-English, whatever they call it. I'll bring you more of that in pieces in future episodes. However, fresher to circuit is Wakanda Forever. A week down, and by now, no doubt at least a third of us have already made up our minds one way or the other. Ah yes, that reductive good or bad binary already creeps in. So keeping it simple, today I'll stake out why this movie is bad and even evil. I kid. It's just that mystery middle ground of not good. Holy crap, there's such pressure on us for consumer loyalty to treat every next movie like the last we'll ever need. But I promise you this, in these last few Earth years we have, of eye-popping extremes from the political to climate, some movies can still just be lukewarm. That consumer pressure I'll want to urgently orangutangent another day. But enter the sequel to Black Panther 1. Sequel syndrome. It's a basic problem. How do you live up to the magic of the first time? How do you, Sharon? Sharon? The vast majority of sequels just don't, and Black Panther abides the principle. And of course, I've not just lazily gone, sequel, therefore scorched earth in this review, since I found, for instance, both Deadpool 2 and Ant-Man and the Wasp surprisingly stronger than their starters. So I'll break this down two ways. The more obvious stuff, you might have already run through the regular review gauntlet, the technical stuff, the strength of story, the sense of it all, and my other concern is the inescapable political significance, pitfalls, and perversions in the Panther 2 that maybe didn't cross your mind, maybe they did. But I hope that I can leave you with something to chew on after this. Everything I'm about to lay out is substantively spoiler-free, cross my heart. So the nuts and bolts. I feel like a dumbass even mentioning Angela Bassett, but good job proven actress and thespian present to the Panther, goes without saying. Knockout pathos in her performance of Queen Ramonda. Lupita Nyong'o knocks the pores into me. Despicably gifted ethereal being. Danai Gurira owns Okoye. Winston Dukes his usual hoot as M'Baku, and respect to comparatively younger Letitia Wright for standing tall between giants. Now, newcomer Dominique Thorne isn't by no means bad as an actress. I just don't think her character was fleshed out at all interestingly. A just add water plot apparatus she is. And oceans of talent on display from other newcomer Tenoch Huerta. But an ocean only a few fathoms more than Riri. On his side, though, is the sizable spotlight he's given, and his control over it. I hope we see plenty more of this actor. But that stolen spotlight is also a bit of an indictment on the writing overall, which kinda handles all characters like side acts. Chadwick Boseman's unmatched command of presence has left a hole that's just hard to fill front and center. And speaking of the word centering, how long are you prepared to wait to see the Black Panther in action? Don't say the title didn't warn you. It's gonna feel like Wakanda Forever before he or she sinks their claws into the celluloid. A long, long time before Panther action. And then what's weird is there's very little political intrigue or brinkmanship for whether or not a new Black Panther should be instated. No infighting or more straightforward, wider Wakanda debate of the merits or dangers of bringing back the Panther. It's just one person who can't move past the mourning phase who stalls the possibility. And worse still, the do or die stakes of repanthering aren't convincing since the story just parks the should we or shouldn't we for nearly 2 hours. And so how's the rest of the action at least play out with a backburnered Black Panther? Sadly, pretty standard superhero fare. Still get the shit kicked out of them by the Raid or John Wick or anything of that sort. And especially sadly since Wunderkind Ryan Coogler's the guy who gave us Creed, which had some of the most incredibly filmed hand-to-hand combat of all time. You should absolutely avoid having one of your two fighters retreat completely out of frame, showing a solitary Okoye technically flailing her limbs at nothing. This irks me, that these movies often circulate these promising featurettes of their poor actors busting their asses for weeks to crack the choreography, and if it speaks for itself, all you should have to do as a filmmaker is hit the red button and walk away while your stars duke it out the way they planned. Let the proof be in the pudding, let your pudding be mutually polished pugilism. For a story, it's a Killmonger reskin. Namor is you're either with us or against us, any means necessary, historically emotionally scarred, consumed by thirst for vengeance type guy. Which, yet again, is a pretty gross oversimplification of a historically colonized subject's rational impetus. To seek justice, repair, and prevention of re-oppression is perfectly sane, in fact. Unless, of course, you're the child of actual Black Panthers making constructive steps to liberation, or the leader of a nigh-on exterminated indigenous people, apparently. And liberation from an extermination by whom, we ask? Well, unsurprisingly, Wakanda Forever is pretty shy to actually get historical, cutely distilling centuries of righteous indignation, at least in Black Panther 1, into a handful of pillaged artifacts. All substantiating inquiry is relegated to the passive voice. Namor is impressed by a people in Wakanda who never have to change who they are, as opposed to saying, be changed by their invaders. He can only refer roundabout to some religious dogma from another world, and that the Spanish brought smallpox. Anything else they did more directly, Namor? I'd elaborate and provide more historical hilarity from this movie, but that I'll leave for a spoiler review over on YouTube eventually. As you can see though, I've leaped from nuts and bolts to story to Wakanda Forever's inescapable political dimensions. So, most jaw-dropping of all is the misuse of the Talokan themselves. The only other time tens of thousands crossed the Atlantic from the Gulf of Mexico all the way to Africa was when Cuba sent 400,000 soldiers to aid Angola in its decolonial fight. The Talokan proxy a liberation ally to Angola, Namibia, and anti-South African apartheid forces in the Angolan Civil War alone. Making Wakanda, ooh, yeah, that's not a good look at all, on that side. Barely a revelation, considering there are scenes of Queen Ramonda faithfully just swallowing the CIA account of an infraction against her kingdom. Zero doubt over duplicity. Must be nice. All that technically making Talokan the first country Nelson Mandela visits to thank for helping to kneecap South African apartheid. So yeah, those parallels might seem tenuous to some of you. I'll spare you the history lesson here. But suffice it to say, sure, all movies treat history like its sandbox. This isn't necessarily bad or good. But you're gonna get told to read a book, Wakanda, or stop rewriting history for whatever reasons other than your entertainment. Which, in all, at least earns this sequel syndrome suffering movie a 6 out of 10. If you've got the superpower of switching off how your brain metabolizes ideas, or can just enjoy pop cultural commodities with your whiskers poised for fishiness, this one's for you.
Killing him will risk eternal war.
He's coming for the surface world.
We know what you whisper. They have lost their protector. Now is our time to strike. Show them who we are.